The weeks that followed were a blur of stolen moments and secret meetings. Their tutoring sessions became something else entirely. Still educational on the surface, but charged with an intimacy that made Jungkook's heart race. They would start with mathematics, but basically, hands would brush, gazes would linger, and they'd end up tangled together, kissing like they were starving for each other. Jungkook was falling. Hard. Fast. Completely. It wasn't just the physical attraction anymore. Though God, the way Taeyoung kissed him, the way he touched him with a reverence that made Jungkook feel precious, was intoxicating. It was everything else. The way Taeyoung's eyes lit up when he talked about mathematics. The soft laugh he'd let slip when Jungkook said something unexpectedly funny. The gentleness in his touch, the intelligence in his gaze, the vulnerability he showed only to Jungkook. "You're different lately," Jimin observed one afternoon as they grabbed coffee between classes. Jungkook tensed. "What do you mean?" "I don't know. Quieter. More secretive." Jimin studied him carefully. "The tutoring sessions are going well?" "Yeah," Jungkook said, forcing casualness into his tone. "Really well. My grades are improving." It wasn't a lie. His grades actually were improving, though that was more a side effect than the main point. "That's good," Jimin said, but there was something in his eyes that suggested he suspected more. "You'd tell me if something was wrong, right?" "Of course," Jungkook lied. He hated keeping secrets from his best friend. But this was different. This was about protecting Taeyoung, protecting what they had. If anyone found out, professors couldn't date students. Taeyoung could lose his job, his reputation, everything he'd worked for. So Jungkook kept quiet, even as his heart screamed to tell someone, anyone, about how completely in love he was. Because that's what this was. Love. Real, terrifying, all-consuming love. It started with small things. Taeyoung would pull away from kisses sooner. Would create more physical distance during their sessions. Would look at Jungkook with something that resembled guilt mixed with longing. "What's wrong?" Jungkook asked one evening, catching Taeyoung's hand as he tried to move away after a brief kiss. "Nothing," Taeyoung said, but he wouldn't meet Jungkook's eyes. "We should focus on the assignment." "Taeyoung." "Please, Jungkook." Taeyoung's voice cracked slightly. "Please just, let's focus on the work." Jungkook let him go, confusion and hurt warring in his chest. Over the next week, it got worse. Taeyoung was distant in class, barely acknowledging Jungkook. Their tutoring sessions became purely academic. No touching, no kissing, barely even eye contact. "Did I do something wrong?" Jungkook finally asked, his voice small in a way it rarely was. Taeyoung closed his eyes, pain etched across his features. "No. God, no. You're perfect, Jungkook. That's the problem. I don't understand. This." Taeyoung gestured between them. "This can't continue. I was weak, and I let things go too far, but I need to be responsible now. For both of us." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we need to stop. Before someone gets hurt. Before this destroys both our futures." Jungkook felt like he'd been punched. "You're ending this? Just like that?" "There's nothing to end," Taeyoung said, but his voice shook. "There can't be anything between us. Not while you're my student. Then I'll drop the class." "No." Taeyoung was firm. "You need this credit to graduate. I won't let you sabotage your education for this." "For what?" "Say it, Taeyoung." "For what?" Taeyoung looked at him then, really looked at him, and Jungkook saw everything in his eyes. Love, longing, regret. For something that can never be, Taeyoung whispered. Jungkook felt like a knife stabbing him deep inside his heart. His eyes filled with tears. He was hurt. He couldn't believe Taeyoung's words. He couldn't think clear. He collected his books and quickly left the room. Taeyoung felt so guilty. But he let him go. 2 weeks later, rumors started circulating. Professor Kim was requesting a transfer, leaving Seoul National University for a position in Busan. Jungkook heard it from a classmate and felt his world tilt sideways. He skipped his afternoon classes, went straight to Taeyoung's office, and didn't bother knocking. Taeyoung looked up from his desk, and the guilt on his face told Jungkook everything. "You're leaving," Jungkook said flatly. "You're actually leaving." Jungkook, were you even going to tell me? Or was I just going to show up to class one day and find out you were gone? I was going to tell you, Taeyoung said quietly. I didn't know how. How about the truth? Jungkook's voice was rising, emotion cracking through. How about, Jungkook, I'm running away because I'm too scared to fight for what we have? That's not fair. Isn't it? Jungkook laughed bitterly. You told me to take chances, to push myself, to not be afraid. But the moment things get difficult, you run. I'm trying to protect you. Taeyoung stood, his composure finally breaking. Don't you understand? If anyone finds out about us, your reputation would be destroyed. People would say you seduced me for grades, that you slept your way through my class. I won't let that happen to you. That's not your choice to make. Yes, it is. Taeyoung's eyes were bright with unshed tears. Because I love you too much to let you be hurt by this. The words hung in the air between them, raw and honest and devastating. You love me, Jungkook repeated softly. Taeyoung's shoulders sagged. Of course I love you. How could I not? You're brilliant and beautiful and brave, and being with you has been the best and worst thing that's ever happened to me. Then don't go, Jungkook pleaded, crossing the distance between them. Stay. We'll figure it out. We'll be careful. I've already accepted the position, Taeyoung cut him off gently. I leave at the end of the semester. Jungkook felt tears burning in his eyes. So that's it? We just give up. We have to, Taeyoung whispered, reaching up to cup Jungkook's face. I'm so sorry, Jungkook. I'm so sorry. He kissed him then. Soft, tender, heartbreaking. A goodbye kiss. When Jungkook left the office, he felt like he was leaving a piece of himself behind. The next few weeks were torture. Jungkook threw himself into his studies, into anything that would keep his mind occupied. His friends noticed, of course they did, but he deflected their concern with practiced ease. I'm fine, he'd say. Just stressed about finals. But he wasn't fine. He was breaking apart, piece by piece. He tried to find Taeyoung, called his office number. Disconnected. Went by his apartment, already vacated. Asked around. No one knew where he'd gone. It was like Taeyoung had disappeared entirely, taking Jungkook's heart with him. 3 weeks after Taeyoung's departure, Jungkook was walking through the shopping district near campus, hands shoved in his pockets, not really seeing anything. Then he saw him. Taeyoung, sitting in a cafe window, laughing. Beautiful and radiant and happy. And he wasn't alone. There was a girl across from him. Pretty. Delicate. With long dark hair. She was leaning forward, touching Taeyoung's hand, saying something that made him throw his head back and laugh. Jungkook's world shattered. He'd been replaced. Just like that. All those words about love. About it being too dangerous, lies. Taeyoung had just wanted out, and the transfer had been an excuse. Jungkook's vision blurred with tears. He turned and ran, not caring where he was going, just needing to get away. Jungkook! He heard Taeyoung's voice behind him but didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Jungkook, wait! A hand caught his arm, spinning him around. Taeyoung was there, breathless, his eyes wide with concern. Let go of me, Jungkook said, his voice breaking. What's wrong? Why are you? Understanding dawned on Taeyoung's face. You saw me in the cafe. Yeah, I saw. Congratulations on moving on so quickly. Jungkook, that was my sister. Don't! Jungkook cut him off. Don't lie to me. I saw how she was touching you. How you were laughing. Because she's my sister. Taeyoung's voice was desperate now. Jungkook, that's Era. My younger sister. She just transferred here from Busan for her graduate program. I was celebrating with her. Jungkook froze. Your sister? Yes, you idiot, Taeyoung said, and there were tears in his eyes now too. My sister. The only woman in my life besides my mother. But you left. I cancelled the transfer, Taeyoung interrupted. 2 days after I accepted it. I couldn't do it, Jungkook. I couldn't leave you. I've been trying to figure out how to tell you, how to make this work without destroying both our lives. Jungkook stared at him, emotions crashing over him like waves. You stayed. I stayed, Taeyoung confirmed softly. Because I meant what I said. I love you. And I'm tired of running from it. You love me, Jungkook repeated, hardly daring to believe it. So much it terrifies me, Taeyoung admitted. But not as much as the thought of losing you. Jungkook didn't care that they were on a public street, that anyone could see. He grabbed Taeyoung's face and kissed him with everything he had. All his fear, his pain, his desperate love pouring into it. Taeyoung kissed him back just as fiercely. His hands fisting in Jungkook's jacket, holding on like he'd never let go. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Jungkook pressed his forehead against Taeyoung's. Be my boyfriend, he said. Officially. I don't care about the risks. I'll wait until I graduate if we have to keep it secret, but I need to know you're mine. I've been yours since the moment you walked into my classroom, Taeyoung said, smiling through his tears. I just didn't know it yet. Is that a yes? Yes, Taeyoung laughed. Yes, you beautiful, stubborn, impossible man. Yes. Jungkook kissed him again, softer this time, sweeter. 1 more year, he murmured against Taeyoung's lips. 1 more year until I graduate. 1 more year, Taeyoung agreed. And then? Then what? Jungkook pulled back to look him in the eyes, completely serious. Then I'm going to ask you to marry me. Taeyoung's breath caught. Jungkook. I mean it, Jungkook said firmly. I know it's fast, I know it's crazy, but I've never been more sure of anything in my life. You're it for me, Kim Taeyoung. You're my endgame. Taeyoung's smile was radiant. Then I'll be waiting for the question. Then a soft clapping heard from behind Taeyoung. It was his sister Era. She was smiling widely. She stepped to be near her brother Taeyoung. Care to explain what I just witnessed? She said, laughing softly. Then she looked at Jungkook and extended her hand to shake his. It was very nice meeting you. Jungkook smiled shyly and said, Nice to meet you too, Miss Era. My name is John Jungkook. And I am honored to be your future brother-in-law. Era was surprised. And looked at her blushed brother. Is that so? She asked. Yes, Taeyoung said, smiling. Finally my brother in love, she said. I am over the moon now to see my older brother happy and in love. Please be happy, both of you. Jungkook smiled at her and turned to face Taeyoung. I promise to love him every second of my life. The next year was the hardest and best of Jungkook's life. They were careful, so careful. No public displays of affection. No lingering glances in class. Their tutoring sessions remained professional, though they'd find time to meet in secret. At Taeyoung's apartment or sometimes at Jungkook's, stolen hours where they could just be together. Jungkook told his friends he was seeing someone but kept the identity secret. Jimin pestered him constantly, but Jungkook held firm. I'll tell you everything, he promised. After graduation. I swear. His grades improved dramatically. Not because of favoritism, but because Taeyoung pushed him to actually try to live up to his potential. By his final semester, Jungkook was at the top of his class. I'm proud of you, Taeyoung said one evening. Not because of your grades, but because you're finally seeing what I've seen in you all along. Which is someone extraordinary. Graduation day arrived with perfect spring weather. Jungkook walked across that stage, accepted his diploma, and immediately scanned the crowd for Taeyoung. Their eyes met, and Taeyoung smiled, proud and loving and free. That night, at Jungkook's graduation party, he pulled his friends aside. There's someone I want you to meet, he said. Taeyoung walked over, and Jimin's eyes went wide as recognition hit. Holy shit, he breathed. Professor Kim? Just Taeyoung now, Taeyoung said with a small smile, taking Jungkook's hand. Since Jungkook's no longer my student. This is what you've been hiding for a year? Hoseok demanded. Worth it though, Jungkook said, grinning at Taeyoung. Completely worth it. His friends peppered them with questions, and Jungkook answered them all honestly, finally able to share this part of his life. By the end of the night, even skeptical Yoongi was smiling. You make each other happy, he observed. That's all that matters. 2 months later, Jungkook took Taeyoung back to where it all started, the lecture hall where they'd first met. Why are we here? Taeyoung asked, confused. Because this is where my life changed, Jungkook said simply. The moment you walked through that door, everything shifted. I just didn't know it yet. He led Taeyoung to the front of the room, to the spot where Taeyoung used to stand and teach. You challenged me, Jungkook continued. To be better, to try harder, to not be afraid. You saw through all my defenses to the person I was trying to hide. And somehow, impossibly, you fell in love with me anyway. Jungkook. Let me finish, Jungkook said, and then he dropped to one knee. Taeyoung's hands flew to his mouth, tears already streaming down his face. Kim Taeyoung, Jungkook said, pulling out a simple platinum band. You're the most brilliant, beautiful, incredible person I've ever met. You make me want to be better, to achieve more, to live up to the potential you see in me. I love you more than I thought it was possible to love anyone. Will you marry me? Yes, Taeyoung said immediately, dropping to his knees and pulling Jungkook into a kiss. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. Jungkook slipped the ring onto Taeyoung's finger, and they stayed like that, kneeling in the empty lecture hall, holding each other and crying and laughing. I can't believe you proposed where we met, Taeyoung said, wiping at his eyes. It felt right, Jungkook said. Full circle. When did you become such a romantic? The day I met you. The wedding was small, intimate. Just close friends and family in a garden ceremony as autumn painted the world in gold and red. Jungkook wore a classic black tuxedo, his tattoos visible at his wrists and neck. A perfect blend of elegant and edgy. Taeyoung was devastating in a navy suit that made his skin glow and his eyes shine like stars. When Taeyoung walked down the aisle, Jungkook felt tears prick his eyes. He'd never seen anything more beautiful. "Hi," Taeyoung whispered when he reached the altar. "Hi," Jungkook whispered back, taking his hands. "You look incredible." The ceremony was a blur of emotion. They'd written their own vows, and Jungkook barely made it through his without crying. When the officiant finally said, "You may kiss your husband," Jungkook didn't hesitate. He pulled Taeyoung close and kissed him deeply, pouring all his love and joy into it while their friends and family cheered. The hotel suite was luxurious, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a massive bed covered in rose petals, champagne chilling in a bucket. But Jungkook only had eyes for his husband. His husband. "I can't believe we're married," Taeyoung said softly, standing by the window, his silhouette backlit by the city lights. Jungkook came up behind him, wrapping his arms around Taeyoung's waist and pulling him back against his chest. "Believe it," he murmured, pressing kisses to Taeyoung's neck. "You're mine now. Forever." "Forever," Taeyoung echoed, tilting his head to give Jungkook better access. "I like the sound of that." Jungkook turned him around, capturing his lips in a slow, deep kiss. Different from all the desperate stolen kisses of the past year, this was leisurely, thorough, the kiss of a man who knew he had all the time in the world. "I love you," he murmured against Taeyoung's lips. "So much." "Show me," Taeyoung breathed, his hands coming up to frame Jungkook's face. "Show me how much." Jungkook lifted him effortlessly, Taeyoung's legs wrapping around his waist as he carried him to the bed. He laid him down gently among the rose petals, taking a moment to just look at him. This beautiful, brilliant man who was now his husband. "You're staring," Taeyoung said, but he was smiling. "Can't help it," Jungkook said, beginning to loosen Taeyoung's tie with deliberate slowness. "You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." He took his time undressing Taeyoung, revealing inch by inch of golden skin, pressing kisses to every new bit of exposed flesh. Taeyoung's breath came in short gasps, his hands clutching at Jungkook's shoulders. "Jungkook," he breathed. "Please." "Patience," Jungkook murmured, his lips trailing down Taeyoung's chest. "We have all night. I'm going to take my time with you." And he did. He mapped every inch of Taeyoung's body with his hands and mouth, learning what made him gasp, what made him arch off the bed. He was patient and thorough and completely in control, guiding them both toward pleasure with a confidence that came from knowing Taeyoung trusted him completely. When they finally came together, it was perfect. Two bodies moving in perfect synchronization, two hearts beating as one. Jungkook was gentle but commanding, taking the lead with a natural dominance that made Taeyoung surrender completely beneath him. "I love you," Jungkook whispered against Taeyoung's lips as they moved together. "I love you so much." "Love you too," Taeyoung gasped, his hands clutching at Jungkook's back. "Always. Forever." Afterwards, they lay tangled together, breathless and sated, Taeyoung's head resting on Jungkook's chest as his fingers traced lazy patterns over his tattoos. "That was..." Taeyoung trailed off. "Yeah," Jungkook agreed, pressing a kiss to the top of his head. "It really was." They made love twice more that night, each time as intense and perfect as the first. Between rounds, they talked and laughed and fed each other chocolate-covered strawberries from the room service cart. As dawn began to paint the sky in shades of pink and gold, they lay facing each other, fingers intertwined. "Happy?" Jungkook asked softly. "Deliriously," Taeyoung replied, his smile radiant. "You." "More than I ever thought possible," Jungkook said honestly. "Thank you." "For what?" "For taking a chance on a troublemaker with tattoos and a bad reputation." Taeyoung laughed softly. Thank you for being persistent enough to break down my walls. For showing me that some rules are worth breaking. Jungkook kissed him tenderly. I'd break every rule in the world for you. I know, Taeyoung whispered. That's why I love you. 5 years later. The lecture hall was packed with students, all eagerly waiting for class to begin. Jungkook stood at the front, now Professor John, having completed his doctorate and joined the mathematics department at Seoul National University. His tattoos were still visible, his style still edgy, but he wore his authority with comfortable ease. Before we begin, he said, I want to tell you about my favorite teacher. The students looked curious, leaning forward. When I was an undergraduate here, I was lost. Brilliant but unmotivated, coasting by on natural talent instead of actually trying. Then I met a professor who changed everything. He smiled, his eyes distant with memory. He challenged me, pushed me, saw potential in me that I didn't see in myself. He made me want to be better. Who was it? A brave student asked. Professor Kim, Jungkook said. Who's now my husband? There were gasps and excited whispers. He teaches in the building next door, so you might see us having lunch together sometimes. And yes, we did meet when I was his student. But we waited until after I graduated to pursue anything. We did things the right way. He paused, his expression serious. I'm telling you this because I want you to understand something. The right person will make you want to be better. Will inspire you to reach higher. Work harder. Become the best version of yourself. That's what real love looks like. A hand shot up. Do you have any advice, Professor? Jungkook smiled. Take chances. Push past your fear. And when you find something or someone worth fighting for, hold on tight and never let go. After class, he found Taeyoung waiting outside, leaning against the wall with that soft smile that still made Jungkook's heart skip. Telling our story again? Taeyoung asked as Jungkook approached. Always, Jungkook said, pulling him close and kissing him without caring who saw. It's the best story I know. Cheesy, Taeyoung teased, but his eyes were warm. You love it. I love you, Taeyoung corrected. I know, Jungkook said, echoing words from years ago. Lucky me. They walked across campus hand in hand, two professors in love, their story having gone from forbidden to legendary. Students whispered as they passed, but Jungkook didn't care. He'd gotten his fairy tale ending. And it had been worth every moment of the wait. The end. Thanks for watching. I apologize for taking long time to update. I was having some hard personal issues. Now I will be back to normal again. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Come back for more.